Hey guys, it's Candace.
And it's Elena.
And you're listening to Cousins on Crime.
Finally.
Whoa. It's weird because, I've had this case ready for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even weirder because this case takes place in a snowstorm.
Oh.
So I was literally researching this case and reading the book about this case in the ice storm.
You were in the trenches.
I was literally there.
Yeah.
And today was 82 degrees.
It was. Yeah. It was hot today.
So explain that to me.
Some things can just not be explained.
It's just ridiculous. And I have a little bit of a lisp right now for some reason.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know why I have a lisp. What's happened to my teeth? What did they do to me last time I was out? How are you?
I'm
Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
Lena doesn't care.
Only because the Cowboys aren't playing.
Right. When have they ever?
Ride or die. No, right. Exactly. It's been since the 90s.
It's going to be our year. It's going to be our year. Every year I hear Daniel say this.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, no,
sorry.
It's not going to be your year. Yeah, and Taylor Swift's boyfriend's not in it, so I'm not interested. And I don't really care about Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
No.
Yeah, it's been a very busy weekend. Y'all, we are recording on Sunday, and which is not
a different
normal.
Vibe. Yeah.
But yeah, I went to Oklahoma. And then,
did you really?
Yeah, I got home this afternoon. Then we had, so Chris and I, don't ask me why at 42 years old, we've decided to go back to playing co-ed softball. So we had a little bit of a practice today, and then I had to get home, shower, and now I'm here.
Wow. You're really doing it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went to IKEA today.
Oh, well, that was a long drive.
Now I'm recording, so.
Did you find anything that you couldn't live without?
No. I was actually not really in the market for anything. I went over that way because I got my wine fridge.
Oh, yes.
We're in business, guys.
Yes.
We're in business.
There it is.
Yes.
That probably does not sound very good coming through the radio.
Just get on with it, Candace, is what they're saying. Y'all know I can be long-winded.
Just let her talk. This is her
me
therapy.
This is just who I am. But yeah, so I was over in Arlington to get that wine fridge. And I was like, well, if I'm going all the way over there, IKEA is like 10 minutes from there.
Sure.
So I walked around. I love IKEA. I just want to live in that building.
There's plenty to...
They've got every room you need in the house. They've got a kitchen. They've got multiple kitchens, multiple bedrooms. Like you could literally squat in there. It would be the perfect crime.
Really, I know.
If I'm ever homeless,
that's where you're going
to squat in an IKEA.
Okay.
Because you could totally hide under a bed or hide somewhere when they close.
Yeah.
And then just
I'm surprised nobody's done that. Chase and I were in Old Navy the other day. They were having a really good sale. Oh. So we're like, I didn't know that they were about to close, and we're just sifting through the clothes, and all of a sudden,
announce it?
No, the lights just start going out.
No way.
I'm wearing like
what?
A nice sweater and some cute little boots, and the lady comes up to me after they turn the lights out. I guess she heard me and Chase talking, and she comes over to me and she's like, oh, are you a customer or are you with a construction crew? I was like, do I look like I'm in the construction crew?
And they didn't say like, we're closing in 30 minutes.
No.
We're closing in 5 minutes.
No. I guess they didn't realize they had customers.
Okay.
It was a weeknight, but anyway.
Interesting.
I was like, no, I do not do construction.
That's okay. Did you at least get to check out?
No, I just she was like, oh, we're closed.
That is so weird.
I know.
I feel like they're always counting down.
I know. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Especially TJ Maxx. They're like 21 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes and 3 seconds. I'm like, okay, chill, guys. I'm in the line.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's do this on a Super Bowl Sunday. So if you have noticed, this is a 2-parter. However, chill. You getting all worked up for nothing. Both parts will be dropped today. Oh. So if you noticed 2 in your feed, then you get 2 for 1. It was that or make a really, really long episode. And I was not going to make you guys wait for it next week since we've taken so much time off.
We had to make it up to you. So thank you, Candace.
You get a 2-parter. You can binge all in one. So my primary source for research on this case was a book called Convoluted, the 1972 Durham Family Homicide by Terry Harmon. This actually came recommended to us by one of our listeners, Ashley. So thank you.
Oh yeah, I love
saying just her first name. So good luck finding her. Good luck.
I do love a good suggestion. Now,
yes.
Let me just say we have had other suggestions that I think there's 2 out there, and one of them I looked into, but I've passed it off to Candace, just so you know, because I just cannot wrap my head around it.
Which one is that?
I don't remember what it's called, but it's in Belgium.
Okay. I'll have to look back into that one. Well, Ashley recently wrote in on this one, and I was working, and I was like, oh, that sounds terrible. Let me look into it. So I looked into it, and I just could not peel myself away from it. So I was like, well,
I'm interested.
Yeah. So I don't know what's up with me, but this is another family murder.
Oh man.
I don't know what's come over me. I'm sorry. I will take a break from family murders. But here we go. It was a bone-chilling cold night, Thursday, February 3rd, 1972, in Boone, North Carolina. 51-year-old Bryce Durham had just wrapped up his workday at the car dealership that he owned, and all his employees had left to go home before the roads got too bad. It had been snowing since 3 p.m., and the temperature was only dropping. Bryce's wife, 44-year-old Virginia Durham, was the bookkeeper at the dealership, and she was still there finishing up some tax forms. And like most nights, Bryce and Virginia's 18-year-old son, Bobby, I heard in some places that he was 19. I don't know how they can get that wrong, but the book said 18. So Bobby had come to the dealership to study after school. Bobby was a freshman at Appalachian State University, and if he was going to complete his degree in just 3 years, which he planned to do, he needed to be aggressive with his schoolwork.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the bad weather, Bryce bundled up and headed out the door around 6 p.m. to go to a Rotary Club meeting in the neighboring town of Bowling Rock. Virginia had a ton of work still to do, so her and Bobby stayed behind at the dealership until he got done. It's unclear why Bryce felt this meeting was so important. I mean, the snow was falling. The weather was getting worse. I don't know why he was like, I'm just going to go anyway. It wasn't that far. Maybe it was because this particular meeting, the Green Berets, who had been in town from Fort Bragg, were going to be giving a skiing demonstration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that demonstration got canceled because of the weather. And because of the weather, not many people turned up. So it just kind of all got kaput.
Okay.
So seems like the meeting wasn't a total bust because Bryce stayed for a couple of hours, arriving back at the dealership in Boone around 8:30 p.m. Bobby Durham was probably relieved to see that his dad was back, even though he had discussed going to dinner and a movie with friends later that night. The weather was just getting worse, and he decided he's just going to ride home with his parents. He was a sensible kid. Once Bobby and Virginia had packed everything up and were ready to go, Bryce borrowed a white and green 4x4 GMC Jimmy from the lot, something he did often to make sure that they got home safely.
Oh, okay.
I guess he had a car, and this 4-wheel drive would have been much safer and better to get up there. Plus, they lived up on a hill, which we'll talk about a lot probably in the story. Luckily, with the assistance of the borrowed vehicle and Bryce's safe driving techniques, the family did make it home in one piece. The moment they walked through the door of their toasty home, they shook off all the snow from their coats before hanging them by the door, and they felt a sense of relief having made it home safely. But something sinister was brewing outside and making its way down the end of that dead-end street that they lived on, closer and closer to the Durham's front door. It wasn't the bitter cold. It was a nightmare that would haunt a community and multiple investigative agencies for nearly 50 years.
No.
So let's talk about the Durhams. A large part about this case is really who this family is. And that's really why the mystery lasted so long, because they were so normal. The Durham family were quiet people, and they kept to themselves. They weren't recluses or anything. Obviously, Bryce ran a business in the area, and he wasn't about to isolate himself from the community. They were just reserved.
Yeah.
They talked as much as they needed to.
Gotcha.
Which I wish I could do. Just as much as you need to. The patriarch of the family, Baxter Bryce Durham. Isn't that such a cool name?
Yeah, I love that.
He was born in 1920 in Wilkes County, North Carolina. His parents were both teachers and managed a local post office. So he, his 2 brothers, and his sister were always together, either at school or they were at the post office, making for a very close connection, very close family unit. Bryce attended Appalachian State Teachers College, working on his degree in physical education when Pearl Harbor attacked in 1941.
Whoa.
Got attacked. So Bryce, being the utilitarian that he was, enrolled in defense courses at a youth camp before enrolling in the draft to join the Navy.
Whoa.
He didn't just want to be another soldier on the front line. I mean, they're useful in that way, of course. He wanted to be useful in other ways.
Right.
Because he had taken part in a sheet metal project, he was selected to go and repair the ships in Pearl Harbor in 1944.
Wow.
So he had spent time in the Philippines before being discharged and returning back home to teach. It was at Mount Pleasant High School, where he was teaching, that he met his future wife, Virginia Church. You've got to go look at Virginia's picture. She just looks like old Hollywood glam, in her younger days. She's stunning. And so is Bryce. I mean, they just were a beautiful couple. Virginia was 7 years younger than Bryce, born in 1927, and was one of 8 children. And this is really sad. Her dad was a farmer and fireman, but she never knew him because he died right before she was born.
Oh, no.
Leaving her mother with 8 children.
Oh, wow.
And they had actually had a child that died. So Virginia would have been the 9th child.
Okay.
But she had a sibling that died before she was born as well. So it just really sad and a lot of tragedy.
Back in those days, there was a lot of tragedy like that.
Yeah, it's terrible. And so, it left her poor mom with 8 children and a farm.
Oh, my
And she's
goodness.
like, I don't think I can do this. So they actually moved into a rental home in the county over for a short period of time before moving back to the farm in 1940.
Oh.
I think by then, the children were a little bit older, and they could actually help her run the farm.
Yeah.
So she was in a different
and
position.
She can teach them how to be responsible and all that.
And I think they owned it outright. So she was able to go back, luckily. In 1945, Virginia returned back home to Wilkes County after graduating Bowling Green Business College in Kentucky. And it was a route that it was about that time that the stars aligned and she met Bryce. So she'd returned home from school. He'd returned home from Pearl Harbor. And it was just meant to be.
No.
The couple courted for a while before marrying and settling into Wilkes County. After a year of marriage, Bryce moved from teaching to the automotive industry.
Oh, learning all kinds of things.
Yeah. I mean, somehow he got his foot in the door at Kaiser Fraser car dealership. Wow, that was difficult to say. Kaiser Fraser car dealership in Elkin, North Carolina. Wow. But he quickly moved his way up to loan, like the auto loan sector of the business. A short while later, Bryce moved to be the credit manager of the Raleigh-Durham district, establishing a firm foundation for his family. And really, it was perfect timing, too, because Bryce and Virginia grew their family about this time. Little Jenny Sue came into the world in 1952, and Bobby Joe was right behind her, born in 1953. Jenny Sue and Bobby Joe! So cute. By now, Bryce had become the manager for the Blue Ridge Finance Company. And I know he'd gone to school for teaching, but Bryce discovered his love for like climbing the corporate ladder. He's like, I'm good at this, and I'm feeling like I can transition very easily, taking next steps. And he did just that. There were qualities about him that didn't just make him a savvy businessman, but people noticed his grit and had respect for him. A gentleman that did business with Bryce described him as the type of guy you would want to do business with. And I think that stood out to all his employers and employees as he moved up the chain.
That's what happens when you're a man of integrity.
Well, and when you're respectful to others, people easily can give you their respect. I feel like when you manage people, it's so important to treat them with respect. Some people don't get that. Bryce was mild-mannered and easygoing while being very nice and personable. This might be one of my favorite quotes of all time. One of Bryce's employees said that a man who couldn't get along with Bryce couldn't get along with himself.
Oh.
That just kind of tells you right there.
Yeah.
So Bryce had worked for over a decade establishing his auto finance career. Virginia ended up getting a job managing the books at the finance company that Bryce worked for. And Virginia was said to be a little more rigid than Bryce.
There's always one or the other in a relationship.
Exactly. And she was not easygoing. Which made her good with the numbers.
Okay.
But not so great with the people.
Uh-oh.
It didn't bother her, though. I mean, she was not there to be popular. She was really just there to do her work. Jenny Sue and Bobby Joe attended Mount Airy High School and were well-behaved, studious kids. The family's core Christian values were very apparent in the way that the children carried themselves through school and extracurriculars, even relationships with others. Jenny Sue was a star student, and she organized a lot of events at her school and tried to bring that Christian atmosphere into these events. Bobby Joe became the highest ranking Eagle Scout and was described as a really nice kid, reserved but not standoffish, a lot like his dad. He was on the football team, and while the book describes him as not being the best player, he was husky enough to hold his own on the field. So they wouldn't pick him first string, but, you know, he could do all right out there on his own. By 1969, the Durham family had moved to Boone, North Carolina. Bryce had purchased a Buick Pontiac dealership.
Oh.
Yes. So during that time, 1969, 1970, Boone was growing and businesses were popping up all over town. Industrial plants had recently established themselves in the area. In our area, we've seen, you know, where we live the past 10 years.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of industry come and
pop up
with a lot more population.
Oh, yeah.
Coming right behind it. So this was kind of what was going on in Boone at the time. It was, you know, these newly established plants were giving rise to new medical centers, more shopping, more recreation spaces. And for Bryce Durham, this seemed like the perfect business move to get in, open his own dealership. You might remember at the opening of the episode that Virginia worked as the bookkeeper at the dealership. Mm-hmm. So since she had been on at the place he worked previously, it just seemed like the natural step that she would become the bookkeeper of his dealership. She's really good with the books, finances. It just made sense. And he could probably pay her cheaper than other people. So while she was a very nice woman, like I said, she was kind of a domineering figure around the building. I touched on the fact that she was much different than Bryce. So some of the employees didn't really care for her much.
Okay.
Bryce was reserved and cordial. Some people described Virginia as overbearing. Employees got the impression that she had a lot of sway when it came to business decisions. She may not have been the owner, but she was the wife of the owner. So
she made a lot of decisions.
Right. So the book and the other research that I have found doesn't describe Bryce as a pushover. He didn't fold. He was just very reserved, and he reserved his energy for things that mattered.
Right.
He was not little nitpicky issues with employees or, Susan's in the office heating up her popcorn or whatever it was. He didn't concern himself with the little things that Virginia probably did. She was probably managing the dealership like an office manager or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I think this dynamic with Bryce and Virginia was really good for business because it didn't get off to a great start, the dealership. They had, while business in the area was growing, this was his first dealership. And maybe because he brought Virginia on, he kind of relied on her to, I guess, establish everything the way it was supposed to be. And pretty much from the get-go, they were struggling, but it really was the service department that was the issue.
Oh.
So, luckily, Bryce's neighbor, Dean Combs, thankfully no relation to Sean Diddy, he had worked at a Pontiac dealership managing the service department for many years at a different dealership. So Bryce convinced him to come on board and
that seems perfect.
Turn things around. And he did. He was hired. He turned things around and they were in the black. I mean, they were able to hire sales managers, associates, and things were chugging along.
Cool.
It was doing well. Maybe it was all that success that gave Bryce Durham the confidence for this next move. He had actually approached a homeowner of a beautiful home on a dead-end street and said, "I would like to buy your house."
Okay.
Now, they weren't looking to sell. There was no for sale sign in the yard, but he must have offered them a good amount for them to pack up and move because that's exactly what they did.
Wow.
If I ever won the lottery, I would walk right up to my favorite house on Isle of Palm. It kind of looks like the Amityville house. It's so beautiful. It's right on the beach. And I would knock on the door and I'd be like, "I want your house."
Yeah, this is, here's your check.
I would bring my checkbook, but I'd borrow their pen. You see what I'm doing there? I'd be like, "Oh, but can I borrow your pen?" So
it's a good strategy.
Yeah. So because they're like, "Oh, she's serious and she needs my pen." So I would write a check for however much they wanted.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so cool that Bryce did this in the 70s.
Yeah.
And you probably could do that more in the 70s.
I would think say. So. Yeah.
Anyway, Bryce and Virginia should have been so proud in 1972, having achieved all that they had achieved. They had that handsome, well-dressed Bobby Joe, who had acquired 52 merit badges and become an assistant to the Scoutmaster.
Well, okay.
I know. Considering all his interests, friends, and activities, Bobby Joe really was a homebody, and he liked to be at home with his parents. They were proud of Bobby Joe. But Jenny Sue, she was another story.
Uh-oh.
All that time that Bobby Joe liked to spend with his family, well, the way Jenny Sue would tell it later is that he really had no choice because her and her brother weren't allowed to go anywhere growing up. They were allowed to see their friends at school, and they went to church, but they really weren't allowed play dates or going over to people's houses and other thing like most kids their age were able to do. Mm-hmm. They were sheltered. Let's just put it that way. Jenny Sue, though, went on to describe her mother as very abusive.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She didn't mean physically, but in all other ways. At one point, Jenny tried working at the dealership, but that didn't last long because she couldn't stand to be around her mother.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, no. One of those.
Virginia had she had very strict standards for her kids. And Jenny Sue said that sometimes that was difficult to meet. Sometimes they were unreasonable expectations. Jenny Sue and Bobby Joe were very good students. They made good grades. Bobby was described as being an above average student by his professors. But despite that, it's like Virginia would raise the bar even higher.
Oh, like you can do better.
Yeah, you can do even better. If you can do this good, you can do this good. According to Jenny Sue, Virginia was cruel, making fun of Bobby's speech impediment in front of his friends.
Oh.
Which is why when Jenny Sue married her boyfriend Troy Hall and moved out of the family home, she was devastated to leave her brother behind.
Oh, that's sad.
This is really a girl who, she wasn't a bad kid. She just wanted freedoms that she wasn't getting. Okay. So she just married the first guy.
Yeah.
And moved out of her house.
We've seen it happen time and time again.
Yes. And her marriage to Troy just confounded the dissension that she had with her family. It wasn't that she was so young because, 19 years old was, if anything, that was older than they normally were when they got married back in that day. But Troy was a scrub. They didn't like him. He was just not up to snuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Virginia's parents were not impressed when they met him. And they were like, this is the exact type of person that we were trying to shelter you from this whole time, you know?
Right.
But what were they going to do? Like forbid her to see him and...
At 19 years old.
Right. After saying their piece, Bryce extended the olive branch. He even provided a car for Troy and his daughter to use. That was until Troy vomited all in the car because he was drunk one time.
Oh, lovely.
Bryce was really, really pissed off about this because he felt like it was just so disrespectful to treat such a gift in this way. So he took the car away. Oh. He had it deep cleaned and he gave it to Bobby.
Okay.
Bobby Joe could not stand Troy, and Troy couldn't stand Bobby Joe because he was one of those people that if someone didn't like him, he didn't like them.
Oh, goodness.
You know, for no other reason.
So mature.
And Bobby Joe now has his car.
Yeah.
So he's ultra sour about that. It also didn't help that Troy had been caught stealing stolen goods, and he was caught doing drugs too.
Oh, gosh.
Bryce worked really hard to set his daughter up for success, and this wasn't it.
See, you can try all you want. You can shelter all you want. But those sheltered kids are going to go off the wall. Let them have some freedom while you're,
while they're under your... ruling.
So, exactly.
That's right. And let them get it out of their system young.
Yeah. And you'll still be there to catch them when they fall because they're going to fall.
Exactly.
It's hard to lose, to not lose that control, but take off the reins a little bit. But you have to, because otherwise these sheltered kids really do. They're going to go off.
And they have no idea.
Yeah.
What the world is really like.
Exactly.
They don't realize that other people aren't going to tolerate their naivete.
Yeah.
I guess you
absolutely
could say. But because of this friction with her family over her marriage to Troy, they kind of drifted apart to the point where they weren't really speaking that much before the murders. Bobby Joe, however, did maintain a close relationship with his sister as best he could. He felt better keeping tabs on her. So he was like privy to what was going on in her life with her and Troy. Bobby Joe knew what others close to the couple knew, that before the murders, Jenny was worried about paying her tuition for school. So this whole, I'm getting married, moving out, I'm going to be on my own. Well, she wasn't doing so great.
Yeah.
Her and Troy were not doing great financially. The last time Jenny had spoken with her father was the night he was killed, actually. She asked him for a ride home from work. So at the time, the road conditions were growing more treacherous. I believe it was before 5 p.m. And she knew that he had borrowed a safe vehicle from work, or that was his way he did things. So she thought, I'm just going to have him come pick me up and take me home. So Bryce picked up his daughter and they had a great chat on the way home. Bryce tried to convince her to resume her schoolwork. And he said, look, we'll think about paying your tuition, but you need to get back in your classes, get back on track. Whatever happened, he wanted her to succeed. And if that meant he had to step in financially, he was willing to do that. Listen, even with their qualms, the Durhams sounded like a normal family, right? Yeah. I mean, a little bit of a rebellious daughter, great son. Like, what's going on here? There was no indication that anybody was planning to TP their house, let alone murder them.
Right.
So how could it all have gone wrong the night of the snowstorm? The last you heard, the Durhams had just made it home out of the harm's way, we thought. And really, that's what everyone else thought as well, until the phone rang at Jenny and Troy's home a little after 10 o'clock that night.
Okay.
Troy picked up the receiver and heard a quiet, confusing voice on the other end of the line, overpowered by the blasting music that was in his house.
Oh.
So Jenny was listening to music and he was like, kind of couldn't hear, but it sounded like his mother-in-law, Virginia, whispering to him that some men were in her house and they had Bryce and Bobby held captive. Before he could get anything else out of her, the line went dead.
Why did she call him? Or Jenny Sue? Why would she not call 911?
Well, they didn't have 911 back then, but right. Why wouldn't she have called the police?
Well,
why? Well, we're going to talk. We're going to talk so much.
Okay.
We're going to talk so much about that. It all happened so fast that Troy had to think for a second about what he had just heard and like what it meant, because at first he thought it was a joke, and he told Jenny about it and she was like, her demeanor was more worried. And if it was her mom, Troy was 99% sure it was her. She knew her mother would not joke about something like that.
No.
She was not that type of gal. So the couple's trailer was just 4 miles away from her parents' house. So they decided to go check on them. Jenny Sue and Troy threw on their coats, headed out the door through the beating snow and the 40-mile-an-hour winds Troy's car. Well, the car wouldn't start. Perfect. Troy had called his sister earlier in the night and told her that he was having car trouble. It's not clear how he got his car home. Maybe it ended up getting started. And actually before this, Jenny took that car to the store and it was kind of clanking. Neighbors reported hearing it being really loud and stuff. So it was just on and off starting. But now with this cold weather, this was really not helping.
Yeah.
So here it was, still not working. And it just so happened that their neighbor, Cecil Small was home, and he was a PI.
Oh.
Yeah. So if they were going to get anyone else involved in this situation, he would have been the perfect person to get involved. They knocked on Cecil's door and explained that they were having car trouble. They told him about the weird phone call, and they're like, look, we just want to go check on them. Cecil quickly got dressed because he hadn't been out all day, so he was in his panties. After a few minutes of trying to get Troy's car started, Cecil was like, listen, let's just take my car.
Okay.
So it wasn't a long drive, but obviously it did take longer than usual due to the snow and now whiteout conditions outside. And when they arrived at Jenny's parents' house, Cecil couldn't get his car up the driveway.
Okay, because it was on a hill.
It was on a hill. I I can identify.
Yeah, yes, you can.
And so Cecil just left his car at the bottom of the hill, and he and Troy got out of the car. They cautioned Jenny Sue to stay behind, and they started walking up to the house. They'd let her know, when everything was fine. It wasn't easy for them just getting to the front door. I mean, according to the book, they slipped and fell multiple times.
Oh my gosh.
They were walking on the pavement, which was harder to walk on in the snow, but then I guess they found the grass. Okay. So they started walking in the grass. But after knocking on the front door with no answer a couple of times, Cecil, he tried the front door. It was locked. They started walking around the house. We think about welfare checks and we talk about them all the time.
Yeah.
And they're weird and mysterious on any given day. But now they've got snow blasting in their face. Yeah. It's freezing. They can hardly see their hand in front of them, let alone, looking through these windows and trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh, man.
So it just added to the chaos of it all. Troy didn't have a house key to their house, which just shows you the relationship. They didn't trust the guy.
Yeah.
So they're circling around the back. They were looking inside windows, banging on windows and doors. The back door was locked until they came around to the garage. Now, the garage had been out of order due to a broken spring. So it was kind of like ajar. And so Troy was able to pry the door up and go in through that way.
Okay.
Troy walked through the door from the garage into the den. Cecil was right behind him, gun drawn, just in case. The TV was on, but there was no sound. Troy glanced at it long enough to watch the tail end of a commercial finishing. Now, they made their way through the laundry area and up 2 steps. It was a split-level home, so the kitchen and dining area were kind of up 2 steps.
Oh.
And the kitchen was a mess. It looked like they had just finished eating or they were in the middle of eating. They couldn't really tell because it was a mess. There was a half-eaten chicken on the table, like a roast chicken. The book mentions that while Troy and Cecil were outside the house trying to find a way in, Troy looked through the kitchen window and was alarmed at how untidy it was because he knew Virginia kept a tidy house, and like it just was weird that he didn't see anyone in there with the mess. You know what I mean? Like she would have cleaned it up. And maybe that's why that was one of the first places they checked, because they went straight to the kitchen. Now, adjacent to the kitchen was the dining room, and it was also a mess. The Durham home had been ransacked.
Oh, my gosh.
A telephone that usually hung in the kitchen had been ripped from the wall. But something else caught their attention as they finished scanning the kitchen. They could hear something coming from another room in the house. It was the sound of running water.
Oh.
Cecil followed the sound to the bathroom that was just around the corner, where he found 3 bodies.
No.
He presumed to be Troy's in-laws, with their heads in the bathtub, submerged.
What?
Headfirst in the water.
What? That's so personal.
Yeah, the water was still running too. And he shouted for Troy to stay back, but it was just about that time that Troy had come down and seen it.
Oh.
Cecil, being a PI, knew that they needed to back out of there and not touch anything.
Oh, for sure.
So they hurried out of the house. They went back down the driveway, back to the car. They didn't say anything to Jenny. They just headed across the way. There was an apartment building, so they were going to knock on someone's door to use their phone.
Oh, okay.
And it's not clear at what point and who told Jenny what had actually happened. So it was about 10:50 p.m. when Boone PD got the call from Troy Hall that 3 people had been murdered in their home. And in a matter of 10 minutes, which probably felt like an eternity,
yeah,
red and blue lights began showing up. Maybe too many, too soon. EMS and Sheriff Ward Carroll arrived on scene at the same time, and the sheriff would not permit the paramedics inside. He told EMS that all 3 subjects were dead. They knew that. Mm-hmm. But the ambulance service insisted that they go in and check for pulses. Like, they're like, we need to.
Yeah.
We have to do that.
I mean, that's the first thing you do.
Yeah. And the sheriff said, I know they're dead because their heads are all under the water and none of them are moving. So, and he's like, but go on in, check it out. Just don't touch anything. Yeah. Don't F my crime scene, essentially.
There is that. Yeah.
And like, how refreshing. At least the sheriff was like taking this seriously and trying to secure his crime scene instead of just letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry in there. There was even a point where the sheriff had to go outside to check if the SBI was having trouble finding the house because, like I said, they were on a dead end street up a hill, and down the hill were other houses and buildings. So even though there were tons of police cars up the hill, it was blocked from that main road. So he went down the hill, and he had appointed 2 officers to stand guard the door and not let anyone in until he came back.
Good. Wow.
Right. Now, the sheriff made his way back up the hill, through the front door, past the hats and coats that were hung in the entry that were still damp from having recently been in the snow.
Oh.
So he reaches the bathroom where the water was still running. Confirmation was given by EMS that all 3 victims were dead. And with that, the sheriff turned the water off and looked down to see a little dog hiding under Virginia's legs, whimpering and cowering with fear.
Oh.
Guys, I'm going to post pictures of them in the bathtub on our Patreon if you want to go look. I won't post it on the Instagram, but I will post it on our Patreon. It'll be open for all members to look at. And you can see the little dog hiding under her legs.
Oh, that
and
breaks
it's just
my heart.
It is haunting.
Oh my gosh.
It is the worst. It looks like a satire, like 90s album cover or something.
Okay.
With 3 people hanging over in the bathtub.
Oh, that's so sinister.
It is. It is. Oh, it's chilling. But one of the first things that investigators noticed was Virginia's purse was sitting on the table next to that chicken.
Huh.
I'll post pictures of that too. There's something so unnerving about seeing that people were right in the middle of something before they were killed.
Knowing that was the last thing they were doing.
It's so normal.
Yeah.
And then to know that they're in the other room dead, like it's just, So everything was tore up, which, we all are thinking the same thing. Staged robbery.
Right.
Why would the purse be left behind?
Exactly.
There was a wallet still inside. Bryce and Bobby both had wallets on them, not taken.
What is the other motive?
What's going on here? Each of the bedrooms were pretty disheveled, with Virginia's sewing room being the least disturbed. 3 drawers in the dresser in the master bedroom were removed. The contents was strewn about. A locked gun cabinet, actually, that Bryce kept behind Jenny's door, like her old room. He had kept a gun cabinet in there. It was untouched.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't know it was back there. I don't know. It hadn't been opened. It didn't look like anyone tried to open it. It was strange, though, because some of the areas of the home were virtually untouched, while other areas were tossed. The living room was pretty tidy, other than a couple things out of place. Parts of the basement were ransacked, while other parts were still fine. Like there were still things stacked up on shelves and didn't look like they had been bothered. This led investigators to believe that the supposed burglary had been staged, and police found a canvas bag.
Oh.
It was a bank deposit bag, and it had hundreds of dollars in it.
Oh.
And it was laying on one of the dining room table chairs.
Okay.
So
clearly not a robbery.
Okay. They collected fingerprints. They collected blood samples that they had found in the carpet in the den. They actually almost missed that. In fact, when Cecil and Troy came into the home, Cecil stepped in the blood.
Oh no.
Because he just didn't see it.
Yeah.
They were filling boxes with anything that remotely looked like evidence. Holy heck. I know I've said this before, but like, where do you even start? Where do you even the amount of crap that I have in my home? How would you would need vans of you would need the equivalent of a forest of banker's boxes to try and figure out what happened to me. if you're going to take my evidence. Anywho, investigators took samples of the bathwater that the Durhams were found in before draining the tub and swabbing the residue that had collected down at the bottom.
Oh.
It was a task, for sure. Though the ME did attend the scene and confirm the deaths of all 3 people, he did not examine them there. Each of the bodies was taken out of the tub and laid out in the hallway before being photographed. The victims were fully dressed. Only Bryce was wearing shoes. Virginia and Bobby had taken theirs off by the front door. There was no immediate, obvious injuries, such as gunshot wounds or sharp force injuries, but still hanging around Bryce's neck was a nylon rope tied in a slip knot.
Oh my gosh.
After finding that, they could see now that there were rope burns on Virginia's neck.
Oh.
After photographs were taken, the bodies were immediately loaded up on gurneys and transported out to the ambulance to be taken to Watauga County Hospital for examination. Again, like, just thinking of getting my kids in the car in that kind of weather, like you're trying to transport bodies out.
Awful.
Right. And down the hill. Like, I just can't imagine how hard it was for them. So this whole time that investigators were going through the Durham home, Jenny had remained at the apartment where they had borrowed that phone to call the police. They had been instructed to stay there until the police could come back. Jenny called her uncle around 11 p.m. to inform him of the murders. Bryce's other brothers learned of the murders just after that, and from there the brothers and the wives began phoning relatives and friends. Troy and Cecil were briefly questioned outside the home, and that's when police learned that Troy and Cecil found the bodies because Virginia had called him about a kidnapping that was in progress. Troy thinks she could have said that there were 3 N-words.
Did she talk like that?
Knowing Virginia, I would say not. I mean, I would just not say that she would say something like that. And we'll get into that. But he couldn't remember all that she said because there wasn't much dialogue before the phone hung up.
So my big question is, 1, why did she not call the police? And 2, why did he not call the police? Okay.
Exactly.
Carry on.
So they said, listen, go home. We'll talk again in the morning. And by now it's in the middle of the night. So there's nothing that can be done. The bodies had just been removed. Cecil agreed, I'll drive them back home. So the bodies were taken from the local morgue to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill for a full autopsy. And it was the autopsies that really started providing some answers as to what happened here. Their initial observation of the rope marks around the victims' necks were confirmed at autopsy, while there was a bullet hole found in the den, like in the wall in the den of the Durham home. All 3 victims had been strangled and drowned.
So no gunshot, no blunt force trauma to the head. So where did this blood come from?
There was blunt force to the head, but that was not the cause of death. So Bryce was hit in the head. I believe Bobby Joe was also hit in the head. Okay. Probably to subdue them.
Sure.
But it appears that Virginia's cause of death was strangulation, and she likely was dead before she was put in the water, while Bryce and Bobby's cause of death was listed as drowning and strangulation. So I suspect that they had some water in their lungs.
Right.
And they were strangled. So it could have been a combination of both. And it was so close together that they really couldn't definitively tell. The day after the murders, the sales manager, Ike Eller, and his wife went up to the dealership in the wee hours of the morning between 4:30 and 5 a.m. They had learned from law enforcement what had become of the Durham family, and they knew people were going to be arriving at the dealership with no idea as to what happened the night before. And they wanted to be there to talk to everyone. But when they arrived, Troy Hall and his brother, John, were waiting by the door.
Why?
Yeah. After a brief introduction, Troy and his brother walked into the dealership like they owned the joint. They started going through papers, drawers. They went through the coat pockets of a jacket that was hanging in Bryce's office, which happened to be Ike Eller's jacket.
No.
Yeah. They were looking for something.
Yeah. What were they looking for?
That's a good question. And that's where I'm going to leave you for part 1. Dun, dun, dun.
Cliffhanger.
Go listen to part 2 right now.
Right now. Go, 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 go. Wow. Well, that was great. Let's do it again here in just a minute.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Thank you for listening to Cousins on Crime. Get connected with us by becoming a free member on our Patreon. Or for just $5 a month, you'll have access to bonus episodes, discussion groups, and much more. If you can't afford $5 a month, we get it. Inflation, am I right? Please consider leaving us a positive review and rating wherever you listen.
And don't forget merch. Support our podcast and show the love by sporting t-shirts with our latest designs, or grab an evidence bag to keep the chain of custody for all your valuables. Don't forget to follow our show on your favorite streaming app so you never miss an episode, and get photos and updates on our Instagram at Cousins on Crime Podcast or our Cousins on Crime Facebook page. Have a case suggestion? Email us at cousinsoncrime@gmail.com.